Everyone, thank you for joining us. For the second time in his life, the Mississippi Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Tyler Edmonds. This means Edmonds can now seek compensation from a jury for the time he spent in prison. Edmonds, you may remember, was only 13 years old when he was charged with the murder of his brother-in-law, Joey Fulgham. Fulgham was married to Edmonds' half-sister, Christy. Tyler Edmonds confessed to shooting Fulgham in 2003, but soon after and ever since, he says his sister manipulated him into the confession. Edmonds was 14 when a jury convicted him and sentenced him to life without parole. But in 2007, the Mississippi Supreme Court reversed that conviction and set Edmonds back for a new trial. That Oktibbeha County jury found him not guilty, and he was released. It had been 5 years since his nightmare began. There's now a state law allowing people like Edmonds to be compensated up to $50,000 for each year of wrongful imprisonment. In 2015, the Oktibbeha County Circuit Court denied Edmonds' request for that money. Edmonds appealed. Today's ruling from the state's high court allows Edmonds to seek compensation for the years he was wrongfully imprisoned. Well, Tyler Edmonds is joining us now live on the telephone from Florida with reaction to this news today. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, let me just ask you, what is your reaction to this news that's coming down today from the Supreme Court?
I don't even think I can put it into words. I'm ecstatic. I'm very, very pleased.
So have you spoken with your attorney, Jim Wade, since all of this news has come down today?
I did briefly. He's actually on his way back to the office from, I think, being out of town for doing some depositions in another case. So we haven't spoken at length, but we have spoken.
This has been a very long road for you. So going into this process of taking this case to the Supreme Court, what were your expectations? Were you and your attorney hopeful that you would be victorious at this stage?
You know, I think you kind of have to always try to hold on to some hope. I will be honest, after, all things considered, I did have my moments of not being very hopeful, of thinking, well, I've dealt with the Mississippi judicial system for this long, and it hasn't always been that great for me. So I had lost some faith, but I was still holding on to hope and thinking that, someone at some point will listen, and they finally did.
You talk about the length of time that you were in the judicial system. You were arrested at the age of 13. You were released about 2 weeks, I understand, before your 18th birthday. So when you think in terms of the amount of time that you spent behind bars and what you went through, getting financial compensation, does that in your mind and your heart compensate for what maybe you feel you lost over those 5 years?
Absolutely not. Not at all. I think for me, I've said before that, when I was going through all of that, I was a child. I really didn't understand everything that was going on. And I was so busy just trying to hold on to hope and to keep myself going and to survive that I didn't really have time to process it and understand just how messed up it all was. But now, as an adult, with retrospect, I can look back and I realize just how bad it was. And that's, I think, been my biggest motivation for this is, money's not going to fix anything. It's really not about the money. It's about making sure that this doesn't happen to someone else. And it's having, one of the things that pleases me most is that the Supreme Court, in their ruling, I still haven't read the entire opinion yet, but they ruled that claimants such as myself are entitled to a trial by jury. And that opens up an avenue now for people who have been through things like I have to have a third party come in, and they have which would be the jury, to have an opportunity for those who have wronged them or when justice has not been served as it should have, to hold those responsible accountable. And that means the world to me more than anything.
Well, Tyler, we will, of course, will continue to follow what happens after today. Thanks so much for joining us from Florida. All the best to you, and we'll stay in touch, okay?
Thank you very much, Andrea. You have a good day.
Again, that was Tyler Edmonds joining us live on the phone from Florida.